This dream tripped me out because it took place the night before the lunar eclipse a couple weeks ago. And in the dream, there was an eclipse. I wasn't aware, I was vaguely aware that, we had this solar eclipse coming up. It was a lunar eclipse in the dream, and it was very, very lucid. I don't always have or often have very lucid dreams, so it really shook me from my slumber, as they say. I was wide awake suddenly at 3:30 in the morning, and I was certain suddenly that there was an eclipse going on at that moment outside. I actually went outside to look, then I did some math. I realized, oh, wait a minute, actually, this eclipse is taking place tomorrow. Hey everybody, it's Gabe Crane with Woven Wings, and I'm making you a video today about the upcoming solar eclipse on April 8th. And this video is going to be a little bit different than probably most eclipse videos you see out there, because the main thing I'm going to be sharing with you about is a dream I had about this eclipse, and we're going to draw our information from that specific dream rather than whatever you might read out there about what an eclipse means or the specific significance of this eclipse and whatever kind of clickbait might be out there for you. So I hope you find this useful and helpful. I am not an astrologer, so don't get that twisted. However, I do have a deep interaction with the nature of time, and it is a big part of the work that I do. I just recently led a Take the Leap meditation on February 29th for the leap year. And in that meditation, we looked a lot at this idea of standing outside of time. It's important to remember that time itself is a construct. It is a dimension. We experience it as four-dimensional beings linearly, but we also have access sometimes when we're in a prophetic state or a mystical state to access something that is seemingly timeless, something that's outside of time, something that transcends our experience of time. And so that's something that we have access to, and when we do, there's something very profound and powerful inside those experiences. When people connect with the timeless, they experience feelings of love and connectivity, this sense that everything happens for a reason. And of course, if you've had an experience like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And frankly, even if you haven't had the most amazing, mind-blowing experience in the world, I think a lot of us, a lot more of us than we think, have had those kinds of experiences. So why am I talking about all that in relationship to the eclipse? Well, eclipses are first and foremost, if we think in the traditional sense, they are about marking time and about marking significant moments in the world. Eclipses happen, the solar eclipse is happening on the new moon, and the lunar eclipse, which happened a couple weeks ago, happened on the full moon. That's when eclipses happen in terms of the celestial bodies and how the shadows interact with themselves, with the sun, the moon, and the earth. And that creates the astronomical phenomenon of the eclipse itself. The new moon and the full moon are the key markers of the traditional month. The month comes, the word comes from moon. There are many traditional calendars, the Mayan calendar, the Hebrew calendar, that the months are based on the witness of the new moon, and the height of the month is based on the witness of the full moon. So when this eclipse happens on April 8th, it's going to be the beginning of a new moon and the beginning of this next phase of time. And when we think about time, we ultimately want to think about what is our goal with time. Our goal is to emerge into the timeless, to use our time well, to return to a state of oneness, to an experience of love, to an experience of connection with life, with the universe, with the people in our life, with everything that matters. People can say whatever they want about the meaning of this eclipse and astrological house it's in and all that sort of stuff, but ultimately eclipses are helping us mark time in our journey back to ourselves, to our true home, to our heart. And anything else is just kind of, it's interesting, it's window dressing, it's things that go along in that process, but that's ultimately what's happening in life. First and foremost, take this eclipse as an opportunity to connect with that, to go deeply into yourself, into a sense of love, into a sense of connection with everything you find beautiful and meaningful in life. The other thing I want to mention as a segue into talking about the dream I had is that the pathway to accessing that timeless space is inside us. Okay, so we look outside to the moon up there and the sun, and we see the eclipse happening outside, and that's this big phenomenon. But the truth is that there's a lot more going on in here than there is out there. The space of the inner world, the dimensions of consciousness, are actually far vaster and greater than what's taking place outside. Take this again as a reminder that you're looking at what's taking place outside, but it is an invitation to get more deeply in touch with that part of you that's most important and what's going on inside. And that brings me to the dream I had. This dream tripped me out because it took place the night before the lunar eclipse a couple weeks ago. And in the dream, there was an eclipse. I wasn't aware, I was vaguely aware that, we had this solar eclipse coming up. It was a lunar eclipse in the dream, and it was very, very lucid. I don't always have or often have very lucid dreams, so it really shook me from my slumber, as they say. I was wide awake suddenly at 3:30 in the morning, and I was certain suddenly that there was an eclipse going on at that moment outside. I actually went outside to look, then I did some math. I realized, oh, wait a minute, actually, this eclipse is taking place tomorrow. So I share that with you because I felt very clearly that I kind of was given a precognitive piece of information from a realm beyond about this eclipse. This information suddenly entered into me that the eclipse was happening the day before it actually happened. And as I even tell the story, and as I've shared it with friends, I find it more and more difficult to believe. There's my doubt and my critical mind getting activated and wondering about it, and you must have known, blah, blah, but these are the facts. I did not know. And in the dream, there were two symbols that showed up on the moon. The moon was turning red, and the first symbol was of a butterfly. And then I was seated in the dream sort of along the banks of this river, and the river was somehow passing by, and there was a bridge going over the river, and the bridge came in the way of the moon, and it was a piece of the Golden Gate Bridge. So a red bridge mimicking the symbol of the butterfly on the moon. So I woke up and I sat with all that, and I was like, what the heck just happened? But I was left with these symbols of the butterfly and the bridge. And I've heard a lot of different things that are out there right now around what the significance of the eclipse will be, or will it be the end of the wars that are going on, or this and that and the other. And I really can't say that it will be any of those things. I would really think that it probably won't be, but I'm not passing any kind of final judgment. But what I do feel pretty strongly from that dream is that the symbols of the butterfly and the bridge are significant. And the butterfly, of course, is a symbol of transformation, the butterfly effect, the ability of synchronicity to put us in touch with any particular piece of information at any given moment if we bring our attention to it. And it's also the process of the caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. On the other hand, you have the symbol of the bridge, which is to cross over, which is to link one piece of land to another, one world to another. And there is a saying in a song in Hebrew, in traditional Judaism, that talks about the whole world as a very narrow bridge. The main thing is to have no fear at all. And I can just share that in my personal life, as I've shared in other videos, going through a divorce, going through change, sometimes it can feel really, really hard. It is a transformational period that we're in. There's a lot of suffering and angst and anger, violence taking place in the world, but it is part of a process of transformation. It is something that we are going through as a collective that really has been building for several years, for a long time beyond that, but we've been in this acute phase for some time, and it will continue for some time. However, I do think that the message is that the transformation is possible. In fact, it is inevitable. And again, the world exists fractally, right? So it's happening outside, but it is reflected in each of our individual worlds. And so I would bring your attention to, for this eclipse, how are you transforming? What is the caterpillar that is going into its cocoon? what is the butterfly that wants to emerge, and what happens when in that synchronistic butterfly effect kind of way, you touch in with your intuition and you start to listen and follow those signs. Meanwhile, think about the trials and tribulations of this current period as a bridge. We are crossing over from one way of being to another. And as we're able to do that, things are going to transform. They're going to change. They will improve for the better. What that looks like on the surface, we can't necessarily say. But if we lean into it and we stay present, we will cross over this bridge. We will transform. That's what came to me in my dream thinking about this eclipse, and I can feel the truth of it pretty deeply. So I encourage you to think about this yourself as you open up to your own process, your own internal guidance around what this eclipse is all about. Of course, you can keep watching videos and learn more about it, read articles, and that can be helpful too. But just be conscious of the information that you're bringing in that then kind of colors and shapes your own authentic, intuitive relationship with the material. Okay, if you like this video, please check out other videos that we have on the channel. I talk about all this kind of stuff a lot and ways to approach our life that give guidance and insight from the signs that are being offered up in life all the time. I hope you have a great, safe time during the eclipse and that it leads to the transformation that you seek and that we all need. Again, please subscribe to our channel, share this video with your friends, and I'll talk to you next time.